Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. March 23rd, 2023. Welcome to our live stream today where we talk about Americans and their options to come and set up a business here or start a business here today on our YouTube Live, which is also being streamed on Facebook. Are you an American national who wants to either set up or buy a business inside Canada? You may want to stay here temporarily or permanently with your family, or not at all. It's all possible, and the good news is that as an American, you have many options. You just need to know how to utilize all the programs, all these different programs, to achieve the ultimate goal that you're looking for in Canada. Canadians are not complicated people, as you may all agree. But we do have sometimes complicated procedures and regulations. I don't know why. Are you ready for the truth and nothing but the truth? That's what we're going to cover today in our live stream. We're live on Facebook and YouTube, and of course we're going to jump into the live questions and comments on our YouTube channel right after. Quick introduction, if you don't know. Hello, my name is Reza, and I work with the Ingwe immigration team helping applicants move to Canada. Whether for yourself, your business, your family, or all of the above, we make it happen. And yes, we have a leopard or panther in the background because Ingwe, if you didn't know, means leopard in the Zulu language and many dialects in the African continent. So that's why we always have a leopard-looking creature in the background, and the name of our company is Ingwe. Let me make this clear, I'm not an actual full-time YouTuber, but I work hands-on with our licensed team here in Canada, working on actual applications and communicating with the immigration department and embassies on a daily basis, representing our clients. These videos are made for the purpose of sharing our hands-on immigration knowledge with our worldwide audience, including our neighbors in the US and of course everyone else anywhere in the world. No restrictions, no limitations, and no bias. And if you're thinking about immigrating to Canada, well, we can help. Get a free email assessment for eligible applicants by filling out the form with the link below this video, which is obviously going to be posted on our social media channel. So let's get started, folks. I hope I'm live. Am I live? Just want to double check here. We're good. Yeah. It seems to be live. Okay, perfect. Sorry about that. I had to do a live check because when you're in the studio by yourself and you got to take care of the technical stuff, sometimes you miss a few points, right? So anyways, starting a business in Canada. How to start one, how to run one perhaps, or just buy one, right? You've got a lot of options, Americans. Buy a business, do a joint venture, or set up from scratch. A combination of these can be done, whether it's for immigration temporarily on a work permit or for permanent settlement, or none of the above. One key point to clarify to everyone, no matter what nationality you're in, you do not technically need any immigration status to buy a business in Canada, invest, or register a company in Canada. To actually work on your business and actively operate and manage it will require authorization to work, right? Which would be an immigration matter. And it's called a work permit in Canadian immigration regulations. But just owning or investing in any assets or operations in Canada, or even registering one like a business, does not require any authorization to work or any kind of immigration at all. So keep that in mind no matter what country you're from, what passport you hold. That's our first fact check of the day. In today's live stream, which will eventually be posted on all of our social media channels, we will be reviewing the US citizens business immigration options to Canada. So this is for investors or families who want to move here by starting or running a business. Let's get this out of the way first. To register a company inside Canada, there's 4 provinces which do not need a Canadian officer or director to register: Ontario, BC, Alberta, and Nova Scotia. So this means that anyone from anywhere in the world can technically register a business remotely in Canada in any of these provinces without having a Canadian director, officer, or shareholder, or even having to step foot into the country. You can do it all remotely. It barely costs $1,000 to register a provincial corporation in Canada, unless you work with a lawyer, where their fees can range anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000, which could also include shareholder agreements that they could prepare for you. Opening a bank account in Canada is a bit trickier, but there are banks in Canada which can open personal accounts for American citizens remotely, but cannot operate the account until you arrive in Canada, even with a visitor visa or just arriving in person as an American, since you don't need a visa. Opening a corporate or business bank account remotely will require a Canadian signing officer, right? If you're not inside Canada yourself. Okay, so if you're here already, you can definitely register your corporate or business bank account as the only signing officer. But if you want to do it remotely, you do need a Canadian signing officer for your company. An interesting fact to know is that any nationality with a visitor visa or visa exempt inside Canada can open a bank account here, either personal or corporate, without a signing officer. So when you're inside the country, you've got a lot more options. The above 2 points that I just mentioned obviously have nothing to do with immigration, right? And are just to clarify to our overseas audience about the registration of a company, the process in opening a bank account inside Canada. These can be utilized and combined with various investment and immigration programs to convert you to temporary or permanent status in Canada, as we're going to outline in this video. American investors or business persons have the following options in terms of temporary or even permanent immigration to Canada. I will outline all the options where you can convert temporary status to even permanent status in Canada for your immigration application. So imagine, for example, E2 investor visas to the US. Those are temporary. They're not permanent immigration, but you can petition for a green card later on if you meet certain conditions, right? Well, it's not exactly the same, but similar concept in Canada. Let's start with the CUSMA, the ex-NAFTA Canada, United States, Mexico agreement, which allows both business persons and investors, which we call treaty investors, to enter Canada to create significant benefit for Canada in terms of economic, social, or cultural activity. This can include buying a business, starting a business, or some kind of joint venture in Canada. It can provide a 1-year renewable work permit as an investor category as an American to enter Canada if the business is not yet operational and it's brand new. If it's operational, you can start with potentially a 2-year work permit as well. Within the CUSMA agreement, you can also apply under the intra-company transfer as an American citizen. What this category allows you to do is to set up a branch or subsidiary of your head office in Canada while you have an overseas headquarters, which could be in the US or anywhere else. This also offers a 1-year renewable work permit for applicants. There are specific criteria to meet for the ICT program, such as having an established business with good financials and staff on payroll. But as an American citizen, you're not obliged to hire Canadians in Canada, as there are reciprocal opportunities for Canadians in the US under this agreement, right? Hence, the significant benefit factor for this ICT category is not mandatory for Americans applying under intracompany transfer, because it falls under the Canadian-US treaties such as CUSMA, right? So these 2 programs I just mentioned are specifically for Americans, and of course even Mexicans, because they're all part of the CUSMA agreement, Canadians, Americans, and Mexicans, right? Besides these programs, American nationals, you still have access to all the other business immigration programs in Canada, such as the entrepreneurial provincial programs, which are work permit to permanent residency, and you have to be invited by the province based on an expression of interest. The C10 LMI exempt work permit for entrepreneurs, which is a federal program, again back to significant benefit based on starting or buying a business or doing some kind of establishment in Canada. And even the startup visa program, or the federal self-employed programs, which are for occupations in art, culture, and sports, for the self-employed, and the startup visa is for innovative startups which can scale and will bring benefit to Canada. Doesn't necessarily have to be a brand new startup, by the way, right? So all these programs that I just quickly mentioned, these are open to all nationalities, also meaning that Americans are allowed to access all these investor and business immigration programs in Canada, in addition to the CUSMA agreement programs for work permits, which we covered. So now you're asking, hey Reza, how do I convert to a permanent residency after I can enter Canada as an investor or business owner with a work permit under any of these programs, especially as an American? Technically, depending on the destination province, you may have opportunities to convert the work permit to permanent residency in Canada, either through federal express entry program or even the Provincial Nominee Program. So each province has their own nomination program for permanent residency, and the express entry program is a federal program which allows people with certain skills and criteria to become established as permanent residents. We photocopied it from Australia, just fun fact of the day. To give you some ideas on how you could convert to permanent residency in express entry, let's have a look at these options. Work 1 year on payroll for your own company inside Canada with a work permit, right? Either LMI or LMI exempt, and claim bonus points by issuing yourself a job offer from your Canadian company to yourself. You can claim either 50 or even 200 points, and for 200 points you need to have a C-level position in the company and have enough staff and departments to justify your C-level position, right? If you're running a little lemonade stand or a convenience store with 2 people, you will not be able to claim 200 points. Otherwise, you'll just claim 50 points where the criteria is much less. The second option for express entry to PR is have your spouse or common law partner work on payroll in your company inside Canada and gain Canadian work experience. If he or she is not a shareholder beyond 50% of the Canadian entity, then their work experience inside Canada can be considered quote unquote Canadian work experience and is not considered self-employed, and you get bonus points in express entry if your spouse or partner meets the eligibility criteria of the express entry program. Number 3, temporary to PR through express entry, is an option for investors who have purchased an ongoing business inside Canada. So it's an operational business, right? The business can issue a labor market impact assessment for you, also called an LMIA, with an investment option, or even an owner-operator LMIA, which basically means getting permission from the government to issue a job offer. That's all it means. It's a very complicated word to be honest with you, but it doesn't, that's all it means. And if the business is large enough, you can claim 200 points with the job offer in express entry before you even step foot into the country, right? Before you even get a work permit. So this means somebody with 300 points already in express entry could potentially be able to receive 500 points through such an arrangement and guarantee permanent residency. Keep in mind that a grocery store or convenience store may not be eligible for 200 points, or a lemonade stand, unless there are multiple locations. And we've had clients who've purchased multiple locations under one business, of like coffee shops or even convenience store. Then it makes sense for 200 points. But if you're just doing one small business, do not ask me about 200 points. It just won't happen, right? Keep in mind that all these options that I've just explained, any applicant who wants to plan to convert to permanent residency through express entry needs to meet the eligibility factors such as language exam, education, work experience, to meet the 67 out of 100 points to meet the eligibility to enter the express entry system. And this is, folks, just to recap, if you want to convert to permanent residence. If you don't need to worry about express entry. Having a work permit as an American citizen, as a business owner or investor, doesn't require a lot, right? In terms of, besides the investment and the business legitimacy and your profile. But you don't need to prove language. But if you do want to convert to permanent residency, well, then language score is a factor in express entry. Even if you're born in the US, or even if you're born in Australia or the UK, you still need to provide proof of language score, whether English or French, for express entry, and some other factors. Many applicants and immigration practitioners miss this point, the eligibility to enter express entry. So you need to make sure you check all the boxes before you plan your permanent residency through express entry as a business or an investor entrepreneur. Let's look at the Provincial Nominee Program. So like the Americans, well, unlike the Americans, you've got states, right? I don't know if it's 51, 52, I forgot, sorry about that. But we've got 10 provinces in Canada and 3 territories and regions up in the North Pole, right? Each one of these provinces and regions, not all of them, but 99% of them, have provincial nominee programs, which are PR plus work permit based programs. We're going to cover 2 methods to convert to PR if you've purchased or started a business inside Canada as an American national. And keep in mind that these programs, which I'll be covering, can be applied to any nationality, right? So if you're not American, or if you're in America and you don't hold a US passport, or if you're just watching us from India, you know, Middle East, Africa, or anywhere else, or China, Asia, Latin America, it can also apply to you. Here we go. Number 1, you purchase less than 10% equity in a business in either BC or Alberta, and it's a operational company, and they issue you a job to enter Canada as a management or executive or whatever role that matches your profile. The job offer would be going through the Provincial Nominee Program, which again is a PR plus work permit based program. If you opt for the non-express entry option, you don't need to meet the express entry eligibility, just the provincial. It will be a little bit slower, right? So that's fine. So it's a direct PR while you get your work permit to come to work for the company that you've just purchased less than 10%. And you can be fast-tracked for PR if you use the provincial program combined with express entry, because both BC and Alberta have an express entry program for provincial as well. So it's kind of like layers. You nominate through provincial and it triggers 600 bonus points in express entry because you have a nomination certificate. Okay, so but you could technically get your PR within 6 months, and the gap between the time you get a work permit and your PR could be 1, 2, or 3 months, worst case scenario. But again, it's not mandatory to use express entry. It's just like a add-on to the provincial program. Let's call it Nitro. We can call it Nitro PR, which you add to your province, to the provincial program. Not necessary, but if somebody likes Nitro, then that's what they can do, if they meet the eligibility criteria. Number 2, if you set up a branch or new company inside Canada, you can also convert and transition to one of the entrepreneurial provincial nominee programs in Ontario, Manitoba, and some of the other eligible provinces. Not all of them allow this transition, but if you've already established a branch or a brand new business or purchased a business in Canada, and eventually you're like, hey, I can't do express entry, I can't do the provincial program because I'm in one of these other provinces, you can transition to the entrepreneurial work permits. They start with a work permit, you invite it, you do a net worth audit. It can take anywhere from 10 to 24 months for a PR to go through all the stages, depending on the province, depending on your profile, right? So keep that in mind. It is an option. Another interesting program is in Alberta, where you can use an LMI exempt work permit, such as an intracompany transfer or C10, right, that we covered earlier in this video, to start a business inside the province and apply for the Alberta Opportunity Stream program to issue yourself a job offer to be nominated by the province for permanent residency. Keep in mind that you cannot be a direct shareholder or of the entity inside Canada, but your overseas entity could be the 100% shareholder, and you cannot be a director, okay, to go for this specific Alberta nominee program. And it has specific criteria, which we're going to cover in a very dedicated video very soon on our YouTube channel. And if you don't know where Alberta is, well, that's where the majority of the oil sands are in Canada, and it has the lowest taxes in all of Canada, and especially for corporate and business. Nice province, and definitely highly recommended. So there seems to be many options to enter Canada as an American business investor or entrepreneur, either for temporary purposes or to convert to permanent residency here. For American nationals, the approval rates are obviously very high if you've got the right criteria. So you don't need to worry much. You just need to meet the basic eligibility and investment amounts. And entering Canada is a breeze. With a US passport, you don't even need a visitor visa. You don't even need an electronic travel authorization, unlike other nationalities. So you can enter Canada through road or air, or even boat. Set up your company or bank account and get started. As an American, you have the most options and flexibility in terms of Canadian business immigration programs. And that's what we're here to help and explain to our audience. So, and if you're not American, no worries. We still have a lot of programs and immigration tools that we can help with you. So here we go. And if you're thinking about immigrating to Canada, well, no worries. Whether it's temporary or permanent, that's what we do every day. And I can only guarantee you one point. You'll know what to expect, the entire process clearly laid out for you, and all the risks identified, including costs. Our legal agreements are based on payment milestones and are linked directly to your application progression. We don't take 100% advance for the whole immigration process. And of course, if you're looking for discounts, I know of a great store. It's called Amazon. Millions of items for sale. But if you're looking for immigration results, you've got the right place right here. There will be no surprises, just clarity, transparency, and results. We have a $1 million liability insurance which protects you and us from fraud or mistakes, as well as a dedicated client trust account with our Canadian banks. Our team speaks over 9 languages, and we have applicants. We help applicants from over 49 different countries, and that list is growing. Click the link below this video and get a free email assessment for eligible applicants, folks. And if you're ready to apply for a one-on-one consultation, would be happy to do so. You can click on the consultation link either with me or any of my licensed team members here at Ingwe Immigration. And if you've got questions, we're here every Thursday, 11 a.m. North America Eastern Standard Time on YouTube, Facebook, and sometimes on Instagram to answer your immigration questions and provide guidance. And we're here right now in our live. If you're watching a recording of this, great. But if you're here right now on our YouTube, we can see your questions and comments, and we'd be happy to provide guidance on these points. So there doesn't seem to be a lot of questions, which is good. Almond says hello, sir. Hello back. Bhupinder Nanda. Hi, good morning, Reza. Yes, dear, you are live. Okay, thank you, Bhupinder. Thank you. Good to see you again. Hope all is well in India. What time is it? It's gotta be like 8:30, 9 p.m.-ish, right? Or around that. Igbo Jesse Doris. Hello, Reza. Hello, Igbo Jesse. Thanks for joining us, everyone. And as I said, we're here. We've dedicated this slot to help with our the worldwide audience to answer the questions on Canadian immigration. And if you don't have questions, that's fine. You could be watching, or you could be commenting or answering questions. So that's the key. That's what we have to be, that's why we're here today, right? And there's not a lot of questions, so that's good. That makes my life much easier. And if you're watching this later on, you're like, what is this guy saying? Well, yeah, we've got YouTube commenters and questions, and that's why we dedicate this time to answer those immigration questions. And if there are no questions, makes it easier, and we can wrap up earlier. But then, no matter what, we're here every Thursday, 11 a.m. local time in Toronto, Montreal, Kingston, Miami, New York, New Jersey, Ottawa, you name it. Yeah, Bhupinder, yes, 9 p.m. in India. Thank you for letting me know. Yes, perfect. And again, seems like a short session today. That's good. Maybe I need some rest. Who knows? Maybe it's meant to be. But yeah, we're covering When are you coming to India? Not yet. There's actually an interesting event happening in India in October. It's Forbes India with VG Globalist or something, and they're hosting, like, they're inviting a whole bunch of companies, and they're charging lawyers and consultants 10,000 US to come and attend this event and present themselves, do a presentation. Funny thing is, I told them I'm not going to pay 10,000 bucks to go there. You should pay me 10,000 to come there. But yeah, that was a nice little side story. But the key is, right now, I'm not planning, but hey, who knows? There may be opportunities in the future. But if there's not a lot of questions today, we're going to wrap up early, as there's not a lot of viewers today. But that's fine. That's fine. We'll be back here next Thursday to help our viewers, to help guide and provide information on Canadian immigration matters, no matter where you are or what nationality, what passport you hold. Okay? Thank you for joining us today, folks. We will be back here soon, next Thursday, and we will be releasing more videos in the meantime. We did have a webinar scheduled for today for startup, but we had to reschedule as one of our panel members was unable to make it. But stay tuned, as we will be announcing the new date for the startup visa webinar as well. Okay? Thanks again. Thank you, Bhupinder. Thanks, Igubojizi and Almon. We'll see everyone soon. Appreciate it. Take care. Have a good afternoon, morning, or good night, depending on where you are in the world. Take care, everyone.